Putting a loved one in a nursing home can come with a lot of anxiety. Will they be treated well? Will their medical needs be addressed?
The last thing most people worry about is whether or not their loved one will be rooming with a convicted killer. That's exactly what happened to one Spanish Lake man who was violently murdered earlier this year. In an exclusive I-Team investigation, his daughter sits down with our PJ Rendawa.
When you think of dangerous people, a senior citizen might be the last person to come to mind. But everyone has a history. Sometimes it's dark. And age doesn't change that.
It was fun just hanging around him.
For most of his 69 years,
My dad's birthday is December 22nd.
Larry Harris was a postal worker,
Yeah, he was my buddy.
a hardworking father and proud grandfather.
He was my dad, but he was still, we more like friends.
Larry lived with his daughter Christina and her family until a few years ago when his memory began to fail.
I didn't want to have him in the house by himself.
So Christina made a difficult decision. She did her research and found the estates of Spanish Lake, a nursing and rehabilitation facility she felt would give her dad the care he needed.
I wanted him close so I can get to him quicker.
Then one day earlier this year, she received a phone call that changed everything.
They called me and told me that he had a heart attack. And then once I got there, detectives told me that it was a homicide.
Christina learned her dad was beaten to death in his bed.
I was destroyed.
Police believe he was murdered by his own roommate.
Apparently, staff had not watched him leave the room drenched with blood. They had not seen this blood trail, and he's sitting there at the table, it's my understanding, eating food covered in blood.
The Harris family hired attorney Jermaine Wooten. The first thing he uncovered was that Larry's 83-year-old roommate, Willie Clemens, had a violent history.
He had always been aggressive, but we learned that he had a prior conviction for murder.
Clemens served 17 years in prison for stabbing a man to death during an attempted robbery in 1968.
We looked even further and realized that he had suffered from schizophrenia.
Should he have been in that room at all?
Given his aggressive behavior, he should have been inside of a secure area in this nursing home.
Administrators with the estates of Spanish Lake declined to speak with us. But federal documents helped the I-Team piece together the months leading up to the murder. We found Larry was put into Clemens' room because staff felt, quote, they were both pretty quiet. Almost a year before the murder, staff took Clemens off his antidepressants without consulting his psychiatrist. Soon after, Clemens began having hallucinations. By the time of the murder, Clemens hadn't been seen by a psychiatrist in more than 5 months.
This was absolutely ripe to happen.
The I-Team found violence against roommates in nursing homes is not uncommon. In March, a Kansas City man died after being assaulted by a nursing home resident. A month earlier, a resident at a Moberly nursing home was severely beaten by his roommate, who also happened to be a convicted killer. So how does this happen? An elder advocate we spoke with says, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, nursing homes are required to devise a plan of care for any type of resident they accept. In all 3 cases, documents show federal inspectors found the nursing homes didn't follow their own plans.
So they just bring these people in and not really have the proper staff, not have people properly trained to take care of these people.
Privacy laws prohibit families from knowing the history of their loved ones' roommates.
You're not going to get any kind of background information on a person who's living in a 15 by 13 room with your loved one.
I love him to death.
It's something Christina never thought she needed to worry about.
What I'm going to miss the most is just having him around on holidays.
Now memories are all she has left of the father she tried so hard to protect.
Don't nobody expect to be killed in no nursing home.
Willie Clemens has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder. He's currently undergoing a psych evaluation. If you want to find out more about your loved one's nursing home, their track record of violations or violent incidents, go to our KSDK app and look in the As Seen on TV section.